Well, hello everyone. It's Dr. Drake 63 here again on YouTube. Thanks for joining me. Well, it's getting to be that time of year, deer season. For those of you that start getting that bug or have it year-round like I do, this is an exciting time of year because guess what? We're only about 6 weeks away from the opener in a lot of places, maybe 60 days in others, but the time is drawing near. Shotguns, lever actions, bolt actions, pump actions, even semi-autos are allowed where I hunt. Here you just take a quick look at some of the different choices here for the 12 gauge category. This is actually a bird gun, but I've seen guys go out with non-rifled barrels and hunt deer with slugs. I would not do that. But if I was going to do that, I'd probably be more inclined to use this Jed Clampett looking Russian Baikal side by side. Now, I'm actually just kidding about that, but they do some nice little simple engraving. Well, as much as I love this big loop lever action 4570 from Marlin, a little bit too much for deer. I like to have some meat left over, that's for sure. Here's its cousin, the 3030. This is the Marlin 336. 3030 is said to be the king of all deer-taking cartridges in the U.S. Shorter distances, tree stands, and the like. Here's a bolt action. This is a Remington 783. We're going to talk about this one in detail today. That's in 270 Winchester. And last, pictured here, you see a pump action in 308. It's a Remington 7600. Interesting rifle. I've actually done several videos that look at this one. Please check them out. But the purpose of today's discussion is to talk about the Remington 783, which is chambered in 270 Winchester. Here you can see that this particular one has a camo job. That is a home camo job. You cannot buy it like this. But two different colors of spray paint, some frog tape, and actually some inspiration from puzzle pieces is where we went with this one. First thing we're going to look at up close is the magazine, which is a removable box style magazine. It holds 4 rounds of 270 Winchester. I very much like this design. It's steel lips, it's steel box. The only part of it that's a polymer is just a cap or a cover, so that it matches up with the rifle stock. Huge advantage over the internal magazines on other similarly priced rifles. Here you see I've got the bolt knob. It is flattened out as opposed to a small ball or rounded type of situation. Theory here is that it's easier to work and manipulate. Here is the bolt release catch. And what we have for a bolt is a very basic 2-lug design. The head of the bolt is a cast, but the rest of it's very lightweight. It's not what we're used to. Obviously, it's not jeweled. There's nothing along the lines there. It's very basic. It's probably a heck of a lot cheaper to make than a Remington 700 bolt, but apparently that doesn't matter when it comes to accuracy. Taking a look at the trigger now, this is a 2-stage trigger. A lot of folks say this came from the Marlin XL series after Freedom Group purchased Marlin and moved their factory to the same one where they make this rifle. If it is, that's definitely not a bad thing. It's an adjustable trigger. Mine is set to about 3.5 pounds. It's not going to move unless you engage the front blade. At first I wasn't sure, but after shooting this for 4 years, I can honestly tell you this is not a trigger that belongs on a $300 rifle. This is a beauty, and I really like it, and I think you would too. Safety is very easy to manipulate and reachable by most thumbs. This rifle has been dead on accurate, and most accurate with this Remington Core-Lokt factory ammo since day one. This is right out of the box, guys. Took it hunting my first year and got this young buck. It's a mule deer from about 140 yards. We've been on winter hunts, cold winter hunts. That picture there is near the Canadian border. Here, pre-camo, year one with that 270 Winchester. I never could get my Remington 700 to be as accurate as this is. The most I could get out of this was about 1.5 inch group. So the minute that I bought this particular rifle, it was my most accurate Remington. I shot this group this last weekend in 2017. What you see here is the cell pad or built-in, if you will, stock pad. It does its job. I don't view 270 as having too much kick anyway. You can see the rifle, as I've mentioned, it's been through some weather. It's been dropped. I've rolled down hills with it. Don't ask me why I rolled down hills with it, but as you can see, it's still got that Bushnell Banner scope on it, which is not expensive, guys. It's 80, 90 bucks. The mounts are set up in this manner where you've got front and rear small tracks laid down, and then you clamp on after that with your rings. Interestingly enough, and you'll see later that I use a dollar bill to show how you float the barrel. Interestingly enough, my front of my scope is actually touching that front barrel nut. Anyway, taking a look here, more evidence that I mounted this just a hair low. You see where that bolt has worked the paint off. Bolt handle, I should say. But overall, I think this has held up quite well. And as much as it goes against my better judgment to leave a scope touching a part of the barrel, you see the kind of results I'm getting with accuracy. And this is a one-shot, two-shot rifle anyway. Mentioned earlier, it's free floated. Here's the test. Came free floated, stays that way. I haven't had to do anything with that. I'm not suggesting everyone go out and do a camo job on their rifle. Actually, I did this more than anything because it was an inexpensive rifle, and always thought it would be a cool look. And with a couple cans of spray paint and some frog tape, this thing is looking good 4 years later. It actually seems to protect the gun pretty well. Obviously, over time it's going to wear off a little bit, but it's served its purpose for me. I'm certainly not recommending that any of you with higher price custom rifles or Howas or things like that, or nice Tikas, go running out and get rid of your rifles and buy this. That's not what we're talking about. But if you are in the market for a hunting rifle, and again, I want to stress, hunting rifle, you really can't do any better than this for the money under $500. Now, people from the Savage camp are going to have a few things to say about that because they build rifles that are equally as accurate. People from the Ruger camp will talk about the Ruger American. And you know what? From what I understand, most of these rifles in today's world, and certainly these budget rifles in today's world, are capable of shooting 1 inch or better out of the box. This one continues to shoot sub-MOA groups using, quite frankly, among the more cheap optics that you can get. So one can only imagine what you could do with this rifle if you had a scope that was of the higher end quality and mounts and so forth. I guess if you're going to spend that kind of money, though, that same guy isn't typically be looking for a budget rifle for $300 or so without optics. So, you know, this is certainly a market niche of its own. How many people can we get into shooting in the hunting sports? And from a rifle's perspective, and this is my personal opinion, but I'll stand by it as a guy that's spent money on lots of different rifles. You can't go wrong with this for a hunting rifle. You just can't go wrong. And again, I'm not here to say that it blows away Axis or Savage Axis or Ruger American or anything, guys. I'm not. I don't own those rifles. But I know a lot of people who do, and like I said, it compares favorable. Again, this one worked well for me. Good job, Remington. I recommend anybody looking, get one. Bolt-action guns aren't the rage these days, obviously, but the fact is when it comes to accuracy and hunting, in today's world, for $500 or under, you can hunt out to 300 or 400 yards if you're a good shooter. And that's the point. Practice, guys. Want to thank everybody for coming by again today. If you have some issues with any of my statements, please let me hear about it in the comments. I'm certainly not here to start a brand war between Remington, Savage, Ruger, Mossberg, or anybody else. I'm certainly not. But I will tell you this. You buy this rifle, the Remington 783, you will not be sorry. Thanks again for your time. This is Dr. Drake 63 signing off.